Hey guys, welcome back to Set Streets and Eats. I'm Chris Bauer. I am in Seaside, Florida today, and that is where they filmed the 1998 movie starring Jim Carrey, The Truman Show. This was the town of Sea Haven. They just switched one word in the title from Seaside to Sea Haven. But this was the town square that was prominently featured in the movie. A lot of the points, like places, are still here that you saw in the movie. The market's just behind me over here. Right in the center, they built it just for the movie, they built that little news hut where Truman would get his magazine and his newspaper each morning and then turn around and walk directly back to his office, which I'll show you back how they did that. But this is a beautiful town in the panhandle of Florida. Peter Weir directed the film, and you can totally see why they picked this town. I'm sure one drive through here and Peter Weir was like, yeah, this is it. It's very unique. The streets look different from anywhere else, and that was kind of what he was going for. He wanted the town of Sea Haven to feel like it could be in the 1950s, but it was also modern. Like it could be this completely isolated small town, and that was kind of the whole point of the movie, and that's how this town feels. So I'm going to take you around and show you some of the locations from the filming, and I hope you join me. Cue the sun. I'm Chris Bauer, and I am an art slinger. I travel around the U.S. selling artwork at comic and anime conventions, and while I'm there, I like to check out cool sites, eat great food, and see all the places my favorite movies and TV shows are made. Welcome to Sets, Streets, and Eats.
Truman, what are you doing here?
I gotta talk to you.
It's a bad time, okay? I'm way behind.
I'm onto something, Marlon. Something big.
So right behind me is they took these shelving units out and they put into vending machines so that Marlon could be stocking them, because that was his job in Sea Haven. So he was stocking these, and of course Jim Carrey comes running in that door, runs over, and they shoot the whole thing through the back of the actual vending machine, which is great. And of course they interact a lot with the people that are in here. What's funny is the man behind the counter over there working the register is the young guy that was on the ladder, which they've taken down here, but the ladder you can still see the metal pole for.
How about those two?
I don't know. Could be. It's when I'm unpredictable. They can't, Anything happen?
No.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the ladder and they do a shot of him. And then the older couple that they do a shot of at the counter, those were his parents and they own the store, and he still owns the store today. It was a quick scene. Pivotal though is part of Truman's unraveling, and it's pretty cool, and the market still looks very similar to the way it did. And of course they have the spot marked with a Truman Show poster, and this was some of the stills from the movie while they were filming. It's pretty cool.
Game.
What? What are you talking about?
Yes, sirree. Your birthday comes but once a year.
So this is Ruskin Place, which is about 2 blocks away from the town square, but in the movie it seems like it's about a block, maybe less. A really beautiful little square. But they use this as basically the courtyard in front of Truman's building that he worked in, the insurance building. So if you remember, there are the twins, the twin older gentlemen would pin Truman up to talk to him when there was different ads on the wall. Well, those two walls were fake. And they built them right here, right against these open areas that are at the entrance to Ruskin Place.
Good morning, Truman. Good morning, Truman.
Hey, how are you guys?
Beautiful day, isn't it?
Always.
And how's your lovely wife?
Good, good. How about yours?
Oh, couldn't be better. Good. Nice talking to you, Truman.
You
Well,
too.
we must go now.
Hey, think about that policy,
Yes, sir.
huh?
Thank you.
Okay, that's 2 for 1. That's a good deal. Doppelganger special.
How you can tell that, by the way, when they push him against the wall, you can see half of that water, I guess, city water access, I guess is what they would call it. They built the wall right on top of it, which is, of course, ludicrous for building code wise to have an entire building wall set up on top of, but it was a fake facade. So, you'd only notice it in the one camera angle that's looking down from over here, one of the 5,000 cameras that's in Sea Haven. Anyway, but that's the indicator, and that was right underneath the chicken ad or whatever the other ad was for the later scene. But that's your indicator. So behind me, you'll see this little crescent, half moon part of grass. Right along that was the facade to Truman's building. This was his insurance building. They built the facade so they had the turning door, and they would all go in it, but it was just a set. And you know that because that building behind it, or behind me, right here, that white building, and it has that red pole, is right even in line with Truman's building when you're looking at it in the movie. So they just made this a whole row with a facade. But he goes in and out of that, and then of course they film the interior somewhere else, but this is where he would enter the building each morning. So another cool note about that building that's right on the side of Truman's building is they left up this prop sign. Rubio Architects does not, or never has operated here. It's a completely made up architecture firm, but they left it up after the movie just as a marker. But it of course is right next to what would have been the facade or the entrance to Truman's building. So this is where they put the facade for the school scene, and that retainer wall over here is where Jim Carrey, or Laura Linney, falls on Jim Carrey while he's trying to look at Sylvia.
Oh, ow! Whoa! Ow! Whoa! Okay. Excuse me.
All right.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm so sorry I fell on you like that.
That's okay.
I've been such a klutz all day. I just
All right.
tripped to sprain this ankle. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm so sorry.
And that's kind of where they met and blossomed into the marriage throughout most of the film. So they had built yet another facade. So right over here is where the insurance company was. Over here on this side, they had built another facade for the school. Of course, you can tell in the last 20 years, well, more than that, 20 plus years, that all the trees have grown up in here. These were definitely not here before, or very small before, and it's definitely grown up, but it's absolutely beautiful now. This is a really cool little square. It kind of reminds me of New Orleans, honestly. But that's right here in Florida's Panhandle. It's pretty neat. I'm out here on Point Washington Pier, This is where they did all the harbor scenes, where Truman was trying to get on the harbor boat facing his pier. There used to be a whole different dock here. They had built up this whole area, and right in front of those trees they put the actual ticket hut, which is where he walks up and interacts with the ticket taker. Then he comes down, as he's walking on here, he comes to the little turnstile, and right here he sees the sunken rowboat, which of course reminds him of his father. He sort of collapses here and then goes back on out that way. They cut back to it a couple of times for a couple of different scenes that they filmed all right here though. Over the years it's changed. They took this, I don't know if it was due to hurricane or whatever, but this whole dock's been rebuilt. It's a little bit skinnier now. But this is right where that all took place. And they filmed all their scenes right here for the harbor. So one little quick scene that they did when they were searching for Truman near the end of the movie. They search all over this Times Square. There's lots of shots of them, but of course, this little hill behind me has that where they're walking as a line. And they're going right down it, but that was right over here. They tried to film a lot of this in a very concise, small area. Obviously, it limits company moves, and this town's already pretty small, so they were able to kind of move around and get a lot done in a shorter period of time, I'm sure. So there's a flag, a red flag, way right there, waving in the wind. That's where the security pulled down the beach, and where Sylvia, that's where Truman and Sylvia shared their first kiss, and the quote-unquote dad of Sylvia pulls down the beach and stops her from continuing on. They didn't use the water as they make you think in the film. Obviously it is a ocean, which is unpredictable. But what they did use, I was at the Paramount lot several years ago, and there's a parking lot next to one of the sound stages, or in the back of one of the sound stages. And when you pull into it, you go down a little hill. It's like a hill, and it's in a bowl, and it's just full of cars. Well, that's the tank at Paramount. So it's not really a tank. They just fill that, they clear all the cars out, and they fill that parking lot in right next to that soundstage. I forget which number of the soundstage it was, but that's where they filmed all the water scenes, and they do it for a lot of other movies too. It's about 5, 6, maybe 7, 8 feet deep, the hill into the parking lot, and then they're able to block all that off, fill it with water, put the wave machines in, bring in the wind and rain, and there you go. But that's where they filmed all the water sequences for the Truman Show. And in fact, at the end of it, when he goes to the wall and he goes up the stairs and out the door, that was a facade on the back of that soundstage there on the Paramount lot in Hollywood.
Truman, where are we going?
I don't really know. I guess I'm being spontaneous. Somebody help me! I'm being spontaneous!
Truman!
So this is the Tupelo Gazebo. It's just a few blocks away, probably about 6 blocks away from the Truman household. I bring that up because this is really the first place that when Truman takes off away from his house, with Laura Linney in the car. They roar up to this go around, and he just starts going around it in circles, around it in circles. And he's talking about going to Fiji and then to Atlantic City, and then they just pick a direction. And he picks a direction, he roars right up this way. And of course, all the cars close in and we create a traffic jam. So he backs right back down to here and starts going around it again. And he says, he's changed his mind, he's gonna go, and they go right back up the road and all the traffic's cleared away. And they shot that right around here. So I can only imagine how many times they drove that car around this gazebo. Depending on how many takes it took. It's probably a lot.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
So behind me is the Truman House, Truman Vervig's house from the show, or from the Truman Show. They used to have a sign out that actually marked the Truman House on the fence, but the owners took it down. I'm not exactly sure why. But it still says number 36 right out in front of it, just like it did in the movie, even though the address is actually 31. And they used this whole street, obviously near the beginning of the movie. Right over here is where the light falls down from the dome. And he goes to inspect it, which is basically right out here. And of course, when he's sitting in the car, they do that whole thing where he has Marla sit in the car with him, and they look for the VW bug, and then of course the guy and the girl passing on the bike, and then they drive out and take off. And then another scene they have right out front here is where at night, where Marlon comes roaring up with the 6-pack of beer to find out that Truman has escaped. So they use the exteriors for several scenes. This is of course the driveway that Truman parks in, and they had a gate set up here instead of the fence. I'm sure that was changed for the movie or after. And then he would walk, did this whole thing done up with the walkway. And of course his neighbor's dog would jump on him right there.
Spencer! Hey, Pluto. Oh, no, get down.
He won't hurt you.
Get down. Yeah, I know. It's just me.
Come on, Pluto.
Neighbor with the trash can with the camera in it yells, "Pluto, come on." And that all takes place right there. But of course that entrance is, or this entrance over here is, of course it's most famous for his line when he comes out. It was in the trailer, it became the thing. Of course famously, Jim Carrey opens the movie and ends the movie with the line, "Good morning, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night." Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.